Good evening and welcome to Greater Somerville for May 19th, 2015. I'm Cayenne Anderson. Tonight we learn about an innovative residential transition program for young adults with autism and other developmental disabilities. Located near Davis Square, this nonprofit organization started in 2009 with the member residence opening in November 2014 and is currently the only such organization of its kind in the state of Massachusetts. Our guest tonight is no stranger to this topic. As president and founder of 3LPlace, she's here tonight to tell us more about her organization and what inspired her to leave her career as an investment banker on Wall Street to pursue this worthwhile and impactful community venture. So please join me in welcoming for her debut appearance here on Greater Somerville, Deborah Flaschen to the show.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to the show. Okay.
Pleased to be here.
Well, this is great. And this is your first, you said this was your first TV appearance. I find that hard to believe with all of your publicity lately.
I think this is my first TV appearance ever, I think.
Ever? Well.
Yeah.
Well,
and
welcome.
I'm not a spring chicken. So.
Yeah. Well, this is great. So viewers at home know this. I'm obviously a huge fan of Somerville. I've lived here many, many years. And when I find inspiring and interesting people and organizations, I love to bring it to the forefront because I do think that that's something that we don't get enough of. Deborah, however, has already made her round. No, I'm kidding. She's been in Boston Magazine and a number of places. Because she has been doing some pretty amazing things, and so we're here tonight to find out more about that. So you used to be an investment banker.
I did.
On Wall Street.
But first, I was in Somerville. So I went to...
Really?
Yeah, I went to college at Tufts.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
And I was a political science major, and I actually thought I would go the law route. And I lived many places in the world, and I ended up in business school and pursued public finance investment banking with Lehman Brothers.
Oh.
Yes.
Popular
So, and I did that for 11 years, both in New York and then in San Francisco. And toward the end of that time period, I had my first child, Catherine.
Okay.
And discovered that the 100-hour-a-week schedule that was expected in that profession really wasn't conducive to what I was trying to do in terms of maintain some kind of
balance.
Some balance. So I actually went to part-time investment banking that is not that doesn't work at all, and I stopped working. I had my second child, DJ. We moved to London, and so by that time I had stopped working as an investment banker for a good long time, and I was becoming a parent. And then DJ started to present with some developmental challenges. And I became a very active advocate for him, just trying to figure out how to support him. Because back then, DJ was born in 1990, and we were just reminded a little earlier in our conversation that at that point, the statistic for autism was 1 in 10,000. Today, it is 1 in 68.
Wow.
So that statistic wasn't right. And the 1 in 68 is probably a lot closer to the truth. Well, I think historically, history will ultimately settle the incidents. But anyway, it was very hard back then because we didn't have the internet, and trying to find resources and information and direction on how you could support your young child was really difficult. And I actually became very active in kind of a parent network because we had to share information the old-fashioned way, photocopying and distributing things by mail. So I've been an active autism parent since my son was 2 years old.
And so tell me, so the 3LPlace, learning, living, and linking. I understand it is a three, maybe you explain that a little bit, because there's essentially 3 phases to what you're doing to try and help and support those people that have autistic children and those with developmental disorders?
It's probably more that these are three strategic pillars of who we are,
Okay.
and this is consistent with our vision. And 3LPlace was started by parents. So among the things that parents value in pursuit of supporting their kids is, okay, how can we teach them? How can we support them? So there's this whole learning or content piece, which is the learning piece. Then for individuals who leave the home, how do you support people in a living environment within the community over their lifespan?
Yeah.
So we have the learning piece,
Yep.
which will always be an active part of 3LPlace. There's the living piece, which will always be an active part. And linking is just where our heart is, because back, 20 years ago, we linked, we shared using photocopied pieces of paper.
Yeah.
Now technology makes that sharing so much easier and so much more powerful.
You feel like you're part of a community more so.
We are part of a community, and every dollar we spend on behalf of our people, our immediate circle, can benefit hundreds, if not thousands, of other people. And so we are kind of the wiki crowd. We believe in the community of sharing content. So that's our linking piece.
Okay, and so now back to the, in terms of the living piece. So your organization started 2009,
Right.
but in November 2014, there you have a two-family home that's in the Teal Square area near the Powder House Community School on Broadway, over that area.
Yep.
And you recently opened that because that provides
It's the entry point. So
Okay.
once again, in some ways, 3 kind of repeats itself. So we have our learning, living, and linking, which are strategic pillars, but we also have 3 programs. The kind of life university, so to speak, that is that our members who are residing in our residence are part of, is our most intensive program. It's a 24/7, 365-day program where learning happens from the moment you wake up in the morning to the time you go to bed. And those members are working on curriculum that stretches from life skills all the way to social participation and how to be a good citizen and higher order thinking. And so we've got this curriculum that really focuses the attention of people in the life university. Then, once those individuals graduate in 2 to 3 years, they participate.
I just switched,
Okay.
just so, I sorry to interrupt you, I just wanted to switch to the graphic because this actually was relating to, you were talking about the learning, correct?
Right.
Okay. I just wanted to, we had these pictures and you were talking about something, so I didn't mean to interrupt you, I apologize.
No, by all means. So we have young people who are kind of coming to us right out of high school, which for individuals with developmental disabilities generally stops at the age of 22.
Yeah.
So we're in the 22 to 30-year-old range. Those individuals are coming to our Life University and engaged in this intensive residential curricular experiential learning program, and will graduate in 2 or 3 years and become part of our community members program. Our community members program lasts the lifespan, and it is a day program, if that's the best way to describe something, that starts at 8 in the morning and ends at 9 or 10 at night. And people can participate in it throughout their whole day.
Yeah.
And we'll have activities that support them in terms of job coaching and supports, in terms of continuing with supports in their own residences, and fun activities and arts, in the arts, and in events around town. So that's our community members program, and that would be something that people would also subscribe to. And then we'll have our Clubhouse, which is it will all be based in the same community center that 3LPlace will eventually have. But the Clubhouse will be the least intensive of our programs, and people will be able to kind of drop in. So let's say we have a square dancing group every Thursday at 7. People can come and spend, plunk down $8 to join a square dancing group. Or if we have a African drumming group, or if we have a choral group. And all of these things, all of these activities are goals that we have to include within our community members program and our Clubhouse.
Okay, so the Clubhouse is not, you don't have that yet, or is that the home?
The home is the first piece of real property that 3LPlace has.
Okay.
We are looking at acquiring or leasing space
For the communities.
for the community,
Okay,
right?
understood.
Which would be where the community members program was based, which would be where the Clubhouse is based, and in fact, the Life University would also be using that same facility. So we are still in the process of looking for a space
Yep.
that will expand as we expand, and
wonderful.
kind of meet the needs.
So one of the things I wanted to ask you is in your March 2015 Boston Magazine featured article, you were speaking about the power of ideas, and recognizing that the difference a good idea can make, and which I thought was interesting. Could you maybe elaborate a little bit more on that?
When I didn't wake up one day and decide to create 3LPlace.
Yeah.
My son was 17 years old, and I started looking around at what options there were for him to continue to live life in the community, continuing to grow and learn, and yet also get the kind of supports that he needed. And literally, there was nothing out there that I would in any way seriously consider for my son. There were some ideas in other states that, in fact, one was particularly interesting, and we actually talked to them about how much money would we have to raise for them to come open something in Boston, the Boston area, but they weren't interested. So we decided to open something ourselves. And the reason is that the current paradigm, even though it pays lip service to community integration, and it just doesn't do it. And those that do a little of it don't do it particularly well. And they also cut people's lives into pieces. So there's something called a day program, which gets funding from the state or the federal government, whether it's DayHab, which is a federally funded program, or Day Supports, which is a state-funded program. But it's, whether it's 8 to 2 or 9 to 3, it's this...
Cuts you down,
and it doesn't...
Compartmentalizes it, which really it's not. It's a life,
Life is whole.
Yes.
And there's a pattern and a rhythm to it. And there was nothing out there that respected that kind of holistic way of organizing one's life. And often people lived in one community and they, were picked up in little ride vehicles and brought over to other communities. It was just a very segmented approach to supporting somebody.
and this was a continuous way. Now, one thing I found interesting about 3LPlace is that you developed a curriculum with influences from Tufts, Harvard, and other universities. Could you maybe elaborate a little bit on this, on the curriculum, as well as why this format is more critical for young adults with these types of challenges?
We started, and in fact, this was, I'm very proud of choosing to start with a curriculum. So we opened in 2009, we were incorporated, and we spent the first 4 years and our first nearly $500,000 on curriculum development, even though our objective was to open a lifelong community. And that was because I didn't feel, nor did my fellow board members, that we could attract we could attract and actually ask families to trust us with their sons and daughters without being able to say, we have got really, a best practice curriculum.
Yeah.
And so we started with the content because the content didn't exist. We looked high and low, and we asked existing programs if they would share what they have, most of which was developed piecemeal.
Yeah.
And A, most people weren't willing to share, and B, they had not really written it down because it was piecemeal.
Now, are you willing to share your curriculum? I mean, in terms of, I just read that in one of your articles that you'd said that you'd been very open to sharing that in attempt to try and expand the knowledge base.
It is online on our website, free. All you have to do is download it, 653 pages. So yes, we are willing to share that.
No, I only bring it up because I was like, that's the segue. So you came.
Oh, am I being too literal? I'm
no,
sorry.
That's okay. I just wanted to let you know.
But it is very important to us. I mean, that's part of.
No, it's what makes it unique.
Yeah.
It's wonderful, and it's a continuity, which is wonderful. And why did you come to Somerville? I mean, you're from Brookline.
Well,
and you felt that, no, I'm just curious because I think Somerville has a very interesting community aspect where it's very involved, engaged, all the things that, and plus Davis Square has a certain vibrancy to it, which I think obviously appeals to
Somerville.
families.
Well, first of all, I and my children have lived in probably.
You are Somervillian, but you spent some time in Brookline, right?
No, I currently live in Brookline.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I've lived overseas. I've lived in lots of different places. We had moved to Boston, in the Boston area, moved to Brookline in '97. And I came to see Somerville because I had spent my college years in Somerville. And I was so struck by it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was so cool because, I was here in '72. It was different.
Very different then.
It was very different. And still cool, still very diverse, but very different. And I just was struck by it. And I remember thinking, DJ, who was then 7, I could see DJ here.
Yeah.
I immediately, because diversity is just so out there at Somerville. People are really so welcoming of diversity and supportive of diversity. And even my son has said in his own words that he really feels welcome here.
Really.
And he feels, and he was really differentiating between he was saying, Brookline didn't make me feel this way. Brookline made me feel odd. And Somerville makes me feel welcome.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So, yeah.
So here's a question. What do you think is the aspect of autism and or other developmental disabilities that the general population is the most unfamiliar with? And what would you like them to know about these people and their families who are directly impacted by these conditions?
I think that people have come to kind of look at autism and actually early on, 20 years ago, autism was just the most horrific diagnosis because it was a no-hope diagnosis. Now I think the world kind of, sees autism and says, oh, you can be a high-functioning autistic and be a scientist, or you're a low-functioning individual with autism. And I think that individuals with autism, probably most of them actually are extremely bright, but really quite cut off from the world. And so one of the things that's very important to us at 3LPlace is to presume competence, that everybody who is part of our community is not just a worthwhile person, but probably has enormous talents to share. And it's our job to help discover them and develop them. And I think that people look at that disorder just too simplistically.
But do you feel that people have come to understand it more now that it's more familiar to them and
Absolutely.
more publicly
Absolutely.
talked about?
Just from, we've
the
been
10 years that you.
The 20 years. I mean, we travel a lot as a family, and when my son was younger, people would just look at us and not have a clue. And now, when we're traveling, they'll often say, "I get it."
It's wonderful.
So it is nice.
So for those people that maybe in a similar situation, how do they, I mean, in terms of, it's a nonprofit organization, but there are obviously costs involved to get the curriculums that you do and all the support that you have. So for those that are not monetarily able to participate in these programs or maybe need assistance, do you have a means for them to apply for financial assistance, and if so, how?
So you're absolutely right. To provide a high-quality program, our program has a 3 student to 1 staff ratio, and that's throughout the whole day. Costs money. And we spent almost a year becoming credentialed through the Department of Developmental Services to be an agency receiving DDS funding. So many young people with developmental disabilities are eligible for DDS funding. So they can apply it and use it at 3LPlace. And depending on what types of DDS funding they get, we have students for whom the entire cost of 3LPlace is paid as a consequence of their DDS funding. My son gets some DDS funding, and then we also then make up the rest by private pay. We're talking with 2 different organizations. One we should hear from within 2 weeks about scholarships. And so we're seeking to get scholarship money to support families that are kind of in the middle, that don't qualify for DDS funding, but that can't afford to do the whole thing private pay.
So they can contact you. We're going to leave all the information on our website when we launch this, so they can contact you and you assist them with that type of a financial question. Okay, we've got maybe about 5 more minutes here, so I've just got a couple more questions to go over with you. Here's one. What are you most proud about in your creation of 3LPlace? Like, I know you had mentioned that your son was he is the inspiration for this wonderful idea.
It's, I just came from a pizza party at 3LPlace before I came to the recording studio here. It's really wonderful to see young adults together thinking about what they can do in the world and knowing that they're going to have the resources to support their efforts to do something in the world that's meaningful to them. There's nothing else out there quite like us certainly in Massachusetts. I'm sure there are other organizations spontaneously occurring elsewhere, and we have to link up with them. But I'm proud of our vision and the fact that we're actually delivering on that vision. That's hard to do, and I'm very proud of it.
And so how have you grown, since you started the organization, how do you think that you've grown the most? Or would you do anything differently? What were the challenges? I mean, did you have...
Oh, we've had...
we could go a whole nother show on that, but
we've had literally every single day there has been a major challenge. I kid you not. This is really hard work.
And how big is how many people full-time?
We have
staff?
6 full-time staff and probably another 6 part-time folks who are working 20 to 30 hours a week is our part-time. So we've got a decent level of human resource manpower at this point, and
but you're looking to grow.
We will grow very significantly. That's in support of 4 students. So imagine, we ultimately see our Life University being 20 students and our community members and Clubhouse being 120 people. So we're going to grow a lot. So we're ultimately going to need, when I say we're going to need a community center, we're going to need something that's got 15,000 square feet, because we're going to be supporting a lot of people.
And you're looking for that to be within Somerville?
Yeah,
Somerville.
within walking distance. Our membership by and large, rely on public transportation.
Yeah.
We don't have a 3LPlace car. People walk, they use public transportation. It's, that's why Somerville was such an ideal location. You can walk to get most of your needs met within 5 minutes. There are banks, there are barber shops, there are food stores, there's entertainment. Public transit is readily available. It's a very diverse community that really is welcoming. So we saw, again, I mean, this was really our first choice. This is where we wanted to be, and we never looked any further than where we are.
And DJ loves it. He loves it.
DJ loves Somerville. He's home. He loves Somerville.
Is he going to watch you on TV?
Yeah, I think he probably will. I hadn't
say
thought
hi
of
to
that.
him if you want to.
Hey, Teach. He loves Somerville. He misses home. He's very homesick.
Yeah.
This is a huge, when you're a person with a neurological foundation that's unreliable, and you've grown up, living with your parents constantly looking out for you, the people are trusting us a lot with their kids. Their kids are really special to them, and their kids are pretty vulnerable. So it's tough.
But you also create the continuity and the sense of community, which I think, whether you have a developmental disorder or not, I think is really, the essence of just feeling like attached to where you live and feel, the trust that, the people around you really want what's best for you. And I think that that's a really quite an inspiring thing. We only have about 1 more minute left.
We all need community. We all need community. And I learned this from a mentor. All the money in the world can't buy you community.
No, you're absolutely right. Well, definitely check out our website. We're going to have all the information from tonight's program. 3LPlace, www.3LPlace.org. That's all one word. Or Twitter @3LPlace. You can check that out. And like I said, that information will be on our blog. I would like to thank our guest, Deborah Flaschen, for stopping by this evening to tell us a little bit about our organization, 3LPlace. I would encourage all of you to check out the Greater Somerville website, www.greatersomerville.wordpress.com, for more details on tonight's program. Please contact 3LPlace directly at info@3lplace.org to get involved or donate what you can and find out more about this extremely important and inspirational cause. That does it for us tonight. Thank you to the viewers at home for watching. Until next time, stay safe and stay informed. Good night, everyone.